Chapter 2. 7 hours dead. Mum and Dad decided to stay at our house for the night to keep things as normal as possible for Ella. They took the poky third bedroom, which was only slightly bigger than the double bed it contained. I'd have rather they used my room, but they felt it wasn't appropriate, and it wasn't like they could hear my protests. I was finding it increasingly frustrating that no one could hear or see anything I said or did. The only external confirmation of my existence came in the form of my parents' dog, Sam, who'd arrived with Dad. A usually placid King Charles Spaniel, he barked incessantly and ran around in circles whenever we were in the same room. It excited me at first, as I wondered whether I might be able to use him to make contact with my family, but it soon became clear that there was little chance of any lassie-type behaviour. He wasn't the brightest of pets. Plus, he'd never liked me much when I was alive, and apparently death hadn't changed that. Trying to talk to him only served to increase the volume of his barking, so I soon abandoned that possibility. There was another moment of excitement when, to my surprise, I realised I could see my reflection in the mirror. My mother was brushing her teeth in the bathroom. I must have passed mirrors before that, but this was the first time it had registered. "Hey!" I shouted, jumping up and down, waving like a lunatic. "Look, Mum! Here I am!" But she couldn't see my reflection any more than she could hear what I was saying. I waited for Dad to follow her and tried again. I stood beside him as he too brushed his teeth and washed his face. There I was, clear as day, right next to him, asking him to look at me, but apparently I was the only one who could see it. At least I looked to be in one piece. I was relieved not to see any signs of the injuries I'd suffered in the crash. "None of this feels real," Mum said to Dad after the two of them got into bed. "I keep thinking, hoping I'll wake up and it'll all have been a bad dream." Dad took her hand and let out a sigh. "I just feel numb," she continued. "After the initial shock of it all, after telling Ella what happened, it's like, I don't know, as if it's happening to someone else, not me. Why aren't I crying now? I feel I'm not reacting as I should be." "There's no right way to react," Dad replied. "Parents aren't meant to outlive their children." "But how do you feel, Tom?" He sighed again. "I'm putting one foot in front of the other. We have to be strong for Ella." I couldn't listen to any more of their conversation. It felt too much like eavesdropping, so I walked to Ella's room instead. Sitting down on the floor next to her bed, I was consumed by a rush of fears and anxieties. How on earth would this fragile little girl manage without me? Would I ever get through to her? And, if not, how could I survive here, alone? Oh my God, I'm dead, I thought, the terrible truth starting to sink in. I'm actually dead. My life's over. I'll never hug Ella again. I'll never wash her hair, brush her teeth, or read her a story again. All those little things I used to take for granted. Gone. Forever. Then I thought back to the accident. Why the hell did I go out on my bike in the first place? Ella coughed in her sleep. I looked over at her flushed face and her blonde curls, matted and unruly across the pillow, and it was enough to jolt me out of my spiral of self-pity. "Stop it," I said. "Stop feeling sorry for yourself. She's the only thing that matters now." I hadn't got a clue whether or not ghosts, or spirits, as Lizzie put it, were able to sleep. I didn't feel particularly tired, but I lay down on the floor next to the bed and tried to clear my mind, if only to be able to do my best to get through to Ella in the morning. It took a while, but eventually I drifted off. I woke up the next morning, alone in Ella's bedroom. Apparently, she'd already got up. To my dismay, I noticed the door was shut.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?